Okay, my grant this year was merging literacy with AR and VR. And of course, the two products, of course, are the Merge Cube and then the Merge Goggles, which does both augmented and virtual reality. Okay, my problem each year I find that students are becoming less and less of a reader. Um, of course, with the technology, they seem to be game driven, or those phones are the center of their life. So, what I decided to do this year was to try to merge the actual reading with some of the gadgets and the cell phones that they're used to doing. My question was, what impact can augmented and virtual reality have on student motivation and success with literacy? And then, of course, the strategy, I chose several different books that are augmented, and these are relatively new. This actually had just come out when I wrote the grant. And it kind of combines both the reading aspect and some of the traditional reading where you have those higher order questions that they have to read to answer, but then letting them have a little bit of fun with it as well. And so with my grant money, I purchased 30 Merge Cubes and 22 Merge Goggles. And you'll see the picture up there. I have a section in my room. Does not match anything in my room, but I did the purple because, of course, that's the traditional color, so it kind of stands out. But that is my AR, VR corner. And then the goggles I chose to do virtual reality as well as augmented because it's two products in one. To get the augmented, you simply have to take the little lens out, and then it becomes augmented to where you are hands-free to manipulate the cube. Your phone slides in there, and I like it because it is soft foam, both the goggles and the cube, so it's relatively indestructible. They would really have to try to destroy it. I did create the AR VR in my corner. Adding various materials as I come across them. I just brought a couple of them up here. Like I said, Ghost Keeper's Journal is AR, of course. The Brain, because we do a lot of informational reading also. Got that. But I also have just regular literature, Chasing Vermeer, and there are augmented apps with it. What I did with it, we're looking at the artist Vermeer, Johannes Vermeer, and it's actually a virtual reality museum where they pulled all 36 of his paintings from the 18 different museums that they're housed in and created one big virtual museum. So my students got to actually see each of his artwork pieces in one spot. Some of the other apps that I use, I just kind of listed over there. I did the ARs in purple and the VRs in black so that you could go through. Nexus Box, 57 Degrees North are both the Cube apps, but the issue is some of them you have to pay for. So I started out by just simply asking them questions. Do you read for enjoyment? And if you notice, overwhelmingly, most of them said no. So I wanted to change that. How do you feel about reading? And again, many of them said, I don't like it or I don't do it. Then I got down and I said, well, do you play virtual reality games? And the majority said, yes, they do. So I thought, best way to get them interested in reading again, make it more game-like. Have you heard of augmented reality? Most of them had not, so that was something new that I could introduce them to. And then I asked simply, would you read more if it were more interactive? And you can see on the bottom there, yes, 86% said yeah, they would. And then, of course, I asked about the merge cube. The final results, did using the AR and VR motivate you to read more? 100% said yes, it did. Now, the one when it says, were you able to comprehend reading better through AR, VR? Notice I had 20% that said no. I was kind of wondering about that, so I went back and looked at the Google form, and before I even saw which students had answered no, I had already written down who I thought it was, and they are avid readers who just wanted to read. They didn't want to fool with this stuff. They're not gamers. They just want to read. So I did kind of expect it. Conclusions, it is a growing trend. The culture is based upon technology, so we might as well embrace it. I'm a 25-year teacher, and when I first started, it was all books. And this is new to me, so I've actually had to come out of my comfort zone and learn this stuff too. Merging AR and VR with literacy was to see if there was an impact. I can say yes, 100% impact on student motivation. Teacher observations, some of the students who did very little in my classroom when it came to this, they were eager and the first to get them off the shelves. So I do know it does impact motivation. Hopefully after K-Prep, we'll find out if it helped with the success. And then issues that I had with it, we had a few, not too many, who didn't have a cell phone device or an iPad. So we had to do some creative problem solving. We are one-to-one, but we have the Dell laptops, and they just do not work with virtual reality or augmented. So one way that I fixed that was to pair them up with a friend who had a cell phone. I did have a few classroom iPads that I would put these apps on that they could use, and I did even hand over my cell phone at times, but I was close. Okay. Some of the better apps require purchase. There are many free apps. And then two of them that I use, Nexus Box and 57 Degrees North. So the way I got around that, I purchased the iTunes gift card, and then when I paired them up, I gifted the app to a partner. That way they would have it. Gets really expensive, though, on me, but like I said, this was the first year I had to do something. Students who love reading experienced frustration with the augmented part. They didn't want to have to do the scanning of the pages. They just wanted to read. And I merged the old school. So with the book, while they did that, they also had the questions to answer. Students who wore glasses experienced difficulties with the merge goggles. So the way I got around that, instead of putting it in VR mode, I just let them put it in phone mode so that they can do it. Next steps, and these, the CoSpaces EDU, Tinkercad, where students do the coding. I'm going to get students working on creating their own apps for the Merge Cube and creating with Object Viewer. They're going to create the 3D images that they can project on the Merge Cube and then actually use a 3D printer and print out what they've created, hopefully. And then that was just some of the pictures that I took. That was with the augmented reality of students. And like I said, they paired up. The virtual reality and the commercial where the guy's sitting there swatting on things, they really did that, and that was kind of comical for me to watch because they were reaching for things that weren't there, but they saw them. And I think that's about it.